If you've ever wanted to know the highest converting Facebook ad strategies in 2020, this interview is going to blow your mind. I sit down with my friend Joshua Breitag from Australia, who's worked with companies like Canva to help them add $20 million to the bottom line, who's helped companies like Simba Sleep go from 0 to 38 million pounds, as well as helped make health and wellness companies millions of dollars in just one day with Facebook ad strategies. We're going to talk to you about how to retain clients, retargeting strategies, some of the innovative opportunities that he's using right now during the pandemic in order to get creative with the assets that he has, as well as giving advice to what you can do in order to get creative during this time to maximize the opportunity and leverage points that lie in this current point in time. So one thing that I do have to say is that you're going to notice a couple beeps throughout the video. The reason those beeps are there is because I don't want to mention the name of the pandemic so this video doesn't get taken down. But anyways, let's get straight to it. Make sure you stay to the end because again, he drops some of the most incredible value I've seen to date, especially on my channel. So let's get into it and introduce Josh to you. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We've got a special guest today from Sydney, Australia. We've got Joshua Breitag, who's going to gem out about how to properly do Facebook marketing, as well as some other marketing strategies during the current situation. Him and I talked briefly about how a lot of businesses have been strategically waiting for a time like this in order to capitalize on it. And I think a lot of people are misunderstanding the opportunity that's at hand. Right now is one of the best times for people to build their personal brand, leverage social media marketing, as well as content marketing. So I'm super excited to bring on one of the most incredible guys that I know that has dominated this space and talk about some opportunities that might lie ahead for you if you properly capitalize on the opportunity that's been presented to you. I know that the quarantine has been struggling for people, but you can properly leverage this to scale your business as we're going to get into. So Josh, what's up, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. It's always nice to drop some knowledge bombs here and there for people and just give me a helping hand out during this crisis that's currently going on.
Definitely. So, a lot of people are doing Facebook ads, but there's not a lot of people that are absolutely dominating that space and crushing it on it. I've been following Josh for quite some time since he helped me out with a situation that was happening last year. And this guy's doing some incredible work, working with some of the most incredible, well-known businesses that probably have services that you actually currently use. So Josh, why don't you just give yourself a brief introduction before we start to talk about some innovative and creative marketing strategies that people can do today in order to start to leverage this time?
Yeah, sure. So I run and own a creative growth marketing agency. And by growth, that means like we look at a whole business and do a diagnostic and go, where's your problems and how do we fix them? And that can be like, normally it'll come to us with a marketing acquisition problem. So like, I need more Facebook ads, or I need more users, or I need more sales. And generally most times we've done diagnostic, you find that your retention or your upsell is your problem. And you don't need to really worry about this. You need to worry about this part first. And then you can come back to this part here at the start. Some of the companies we work with is like Canva. So like a lot of you will probably have used that. So I help build out their paid for work product and launched a paid advertising program there at Canva when they're spending a stupid amount of money on acquiring users. So I added about, I think it was 10 or $20 million to the bottom line for them. So I just increased the conversion rate, did the paid performance media. The other one is like Simba Sleep. So it's a mattress in a box over in the UK. So similar to like a Casper in the USA. So we grew them from 0 to 38 million pounds in 18 months across multiple 17 different channels, email marketing, conversion optimization, AdWords, the whole works. Whole kit and caboodle with the team there. And then another example, that was a really cool one that we did just recently, was a health and wellness company. So we got them $2 million in 2 days. So that was just doing a really kind of like a unique sort of lifetime deal. So we worked out for them like, okay, your lifetime value is about $600. So we did a lifetime deal of $750. And then we sold that out over a 3-day launch. And that ended up doing like $2 million for them in terms of sales. And the other cool one that I really liked recently that I checked out was we actually managed to make one ad where we put $1 million behind it and it made $12 million in revenue.
That's absolutely insane. So if that's not enough credibility to stay tuned for this video, I don't know what is, because again, I think I've even got off a Zoom call today with the mastermind with a bunch of agents, and they were all talking about Canva. I think it's a tool that everybody under the sun uses. And, the fact that you've been on the back end of helping these companies scale is pretty incredible and must be a pretty awesome journey. So That's awesome, man. And congrats to you for all the success you've had with your business. I'll link his stuff below again if you want to check out the agency. It's really incredible to see the work that this guy's doing. But let's just jam out about this situation, because a lot of people right now are running, hiding, and not taking action. And I feel like they're going to miss the boat, and the ship will sail by the time they realize what kind of opportunity they have at hand. So, just to give a bit of a foundation, I'd love to talk about Facebook ads and kind of fundamentals in terms of what most people struggle with Facebook ads in terms of conversion. Obviously, hearing what you just said, you're a master of conversion. And a lot of people reach out to me saying their ads are dying or falling flat. So what are the biggest mistakes you find people make consistently with Facebook ads?
I think the biggest one of late that I've heard of so much is my ad account's getting banned, or my ad's not getting approved. And it just simply comes down to, normally it's like three main areas. It's using yours on the landing page or in your ads. So like personal attributions. Facebook hates that. They don't want you calling out a personal user, even on your landing page. The other one is like the make money from home opportunity kind of stuff as well. So like if you're doing anything that talks about making money from home, or you have promises of making a certain amount of money, those are not liked by Facebook. And you also really got to think about, when you're writing your ads and your copy, will this potentially cause a lawsuit for Facebook? And that's all they're trying to avoid with compliance. They're not someone who is, has, gotten not great results from your course or something like that, is not going to go after you. They're going to go after Facebook, because Facebook's got more money and they're just going to pay it out. They're not going to care. And that's why their compliance is so stringent at the moment. And that's why it's so tough, and why people find it really hard. And it is very much a gray area. So you can resubmit stuff and fix it up and get it changed. And Facebook's quite happy to make it happen. At the moment, during the COVID crisis, their response times are a lot slower if you're just a general user. But that still works really well. And yeah, so the third one is case studies and results. So with that one, it's like you need to, you can't just say like a person like make $100,000 or $200,000 from this course, or from this program or this service. What you can say is this company did this instead. So use case studies to kind of still get to say you can make these results, but also having the staffing saying like, not all situations this happens, and make sure you got your disclaimers, your privacy policies, and all that up to date. Especially with like your Google Analytics tracking codes and stuff like that, like what's allowed for EU and GDPR laws, because those things Facebook's now starting to check that as part of their compliance, because the GDPR is basically going to come after Facebook and do a big, massive class action lawsuit against them. They're not going to come after you.
Definitely. No, I think that's a good point. And I've seen recently in a lot of Facebook groups, people asking, what do I do? My account got banned. And they're all up in a flat, because now they didn't add anybody to be a manager on their account, and now they can't access it. So, to go one layer deeper before talking about strategies that people can leverage now, what are you seeing in terms of things like targeting and retargeting? Because I know that, years ago, a lot of people were saying that when you're doing ads and choosing your targeting selection, that you should list like as many targeting options as possible in the detailed targeting section. You should include a bunch of to exclude options, and then, try and really hone in Facebook's algorithm as much as possible. But I've recently been hearing at the tail end of last year that Facebook has improved its algorithm, and to actually do a bit less targeting and let their algorithm work its magic. So from a targeting perspective, with some of these companies you're working with, what are you seeing that is giving you the best results?
Yeah, so with that, best practice is shit for everyone else but yourself. So like best practice really relates to that one company. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you in your situation. Your business is completely unique, completely separate. Doesn't matter if you're in the same niche. You've got a different unique sales point, different person, different face, the whole works. It's all very different. So when you hear that information, our thing is always test for yourselves. So for ourselves, we've got some accounts where the CBO let Facebook open up and off it goes. But we did see with the crisis and this sort of thing, like Facebook doesn't actually know who's going to buy right now, because everyone's, things have changed. Their buying habits have changed. So the person that was going to buy the week before now not buying this week. So Facebook's actually targeting the incorrect people and trying to relearn that whole process again and going all back through that thing. So we noticed that when we had the campaign budget optimization versus the ad set budget optimization. So we always had both in all our ad sets and all our accounts to basically test. And we found out that our ad set optimization had, 200% more ROI than what the CBO did once it hit. because we had very tight manual audiences of like, oh yeah, work between these parameters. Whereas the campaign was like, oh yeah, target, females in the age of 25 and 44 with an interest in fitness and wealth, remove your remarketing audiences, your email audiences, and then off you go. So which works fine as well, but it also comes down to that strategy doesn't really work well until your account has a lot of data and you're spending quite a fair bit amount of money. So it's feeding a lot of data to that system so it can learn quite quickly.
Definitely.
For
And
that one.
you kind of touched on there, like remarketing. So again, last kind of question here is, what are you seeing in terms of, or your advice to people in regards to retargeting, as well as like, general custom audiences and lookalike audiences? I see a lot of people that are just running cold audience ads, around the clock and not converting that high. Do you put a lot of priority on the retargeting custom audiences, or what's kind of your perspective for people looking to grow using those?
Yeah, so there's a couple of tactics here and a couple of them are a bit advanced. So if you want to, do them and stuff, it's fun. I think the best one to think of too as well is just work out, I don't know if all you guys have talked about or heard about attribution models and looking at how they work. So like with your Facebook ones, if you're running a 28-day attribution, a 1-day view, 28-day click and a 1-day view attribution, figure out what your 28-day attribution is and how much your CPA actually drops over 28 days. So your CPA today, let's say if your target is 50, it might be 100 today, but over 28 days, it'll probably come down to like 45. If you know that, so you can spend 100 today, because in 28 days, based on the trend, it's going to end up being about 45. So a lot of people actually cap their growth because they look at the CPA on the day instead of where the CPA might be in 28 days. So you can do it based on 7 days or 1 day. 1 day, you don't have to do any attribution modeling whatsoever. But if you're running on a 7 and a 28 day, that's a really good thing to do for growth. Specifically for your remarketing strategies. So when it comes to remarketing, like testimonial ads, case study ads, user explanations, reviews with stars, products, so like all the features and benefits of your products, problem solving ads. I like the niggling and pain problem solving ones. So it's just like, so an example of that was like for Simba Sleep, we did a ad which did really, really well, which was like, do you wake up in the morning with a sore back, sore neck, these sorts of things? So it's like you're kind of seeding the subconscious a bit and it just sits in the back of their head and niggles at them. And they're like, oh yeah, they wake up and they're like, oh yeah, that sore neck. And then they think of a Simba Sleep or a mattress in a box. So that's the kind of thing you want to look for with the remarketing ads when you've kind of warmed that audience up. You've also got your mid-tier remarketing. So that's like people of your friends, your fans, people that like your fan page, people in your group. So those sort of audiences as well. There's also, which a lot of people don't do, is you can do partnerships where people can share pixels if you're outside GDPR and EU laws. So between our clients, so like the Simba Sleeps, the Onnits of the world, Trinity Londons, those sort of people. Between those people, they have arrangements where they can share pixels and stuff where it's allowed legally, and they share audiences, and they can get really good remarketing and stuff based on that. Because it's like we see a high correlation between this client and a high correlation between this client's audience. They're two separate selling things. So they're not direct competition, but they're in similar, like the clients buy the same stuff. So therefore, why not share it across? And they both get a payout for it. So that works out really well.
Yeah, because I even noticed myself looking at buying, like, consumer behavior patterns. You'll go watch one person's podcast featuring a guest, and then suddenly you hop back on Facebook and you start seeing their guest ads and things like that. And I think it's such a great cross-pollination of opportunity when you start pixel sharing. So you don't just do Facebook ads, you do Facebook ads, you do PPC, you do a lot of different social media marketing and digital marketing strategies. During this time right now where, the stat that I heard the other day is the average the average mobile user's screen time is increased by 80%. Bigger companies aren't spending as much, so your dollar might go a bit further right now. A lot are saying that this is the great opportunity to start marketing or at least building top of mind brand awareness. What strategies right now would you recommend somebody that's maybe at, the low 6-figure level that's looking to capitalize on this opportunity to scale their business?
Yeah, so let's bring that back because it's quite a big question to unpack that one. Let's bring it back a bit. So I think a good thing to understand for this is like what we think about where the marketplace is going to be in the next 12 to 18 months. So our anticipation, and based on looking at previous stats of the last recession, like even though this isn't what caused the current sort of what we're going to is in a recession, We believe, looking at last pandemics and the way that the last sort of recession happened, is that we're going to see a lot of peaks and troughs through this. We're going to at least see 5 or 6 of them. So it's going to be like, cool. All of a sudden, at the moment, we're in a trough. Everyone's locked up. They can't go anywhere. But then all of a sudden, we're going to get released and it's going to peak up. And so are the cases of. And then all of a sudden, what they're going to do, they're going to lock it off again. And it's going to happen. We're going to go down and we're going to go back up again. And it's going to happen 5 or 6 times across, we believe, based on the stats we looked at, which is going to be, we're anticipating 12 to 18 months, at least, of a period before we actually see a fully stable, solid. We're not going to have this big, massive fluctuations. Even if a cure comes out in the next, 2 or 3 months, we still think it's going to be that sort of period, because like you just can't make, 30, like what is it, 20 billion freaking vaccines in the space of like a month or two. Like, there's only so many companies in the world that can produce, and there's only so much raw material that you can have. And it's like, who gets a priority for that and spreads that out, and how much does that flatten the curve off and all this sort of stuff. So I think that's a good way of, that's for our strategies and stuff. We've taken the scenario of looking at that, and that's what we've approached our clients with. And we have a bit more of a holistic look at the strategies that we play with. So like with some of our clients, we've recommended to actually go to stock investing, because we knew that their stuff isn't really going to sell in a climate like this. So like an example of that was, thanks to a guy that I know that does really investing, I got a heads up on like what stocks and stuff to buy. So we like went to a couple of clients, hey, chuck 10 or 20 grand against these stocks as a hedge. Like if your business goes down, and then they shorted that stock, like, through 2 or 3 weeks later, and made 25 times the amount of money. So now they've got this nice big kitty to sit on during this period. They're not rushing to try and like make sales and stuff like that. In terms of specifically for like marketing and stuff, and for like strategies, like we really pushing the branding, the content side, even ourselves. Like I hate doing branding content. I hate doing videos and stuff generally. I love going on calls like this where I get to chat to people and answer questions. I love that sort of stuff, but just making me do videos. So even ourselves, we're really pushing branding right now, building groups, chatting and talking to people. Like if you watch Gary Vee, don't listen to what he says, but just watch what he does. You'll notice he's just doing a lot of live videos at the moment. He's getting like 10 or 15,000 people in his live videos across Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, and he also does LinkedIn Live. So all at once he does like 5 different channels, and like he's getting like 10, 20,000 views. If you're getting in front of the right people and stuff, when we get out of this recession, if you built those relationships, they're going to pay dividends on the other end. So it's like, do the groundwork now to pay for the dividends later. Don't expect a lot of sales now. Like, yes, at least make yourself like at least break even or a little bit profitable if you can, or have enough capital that you can survive for this 12 to 18 month period. But yeah, if you can get through this, and if you have the capital to do it, you're in a really, really good spot on the other side, because it's going to be cheap. A lot of great talent available. It's going to be quite cheap, just because there's going to be this mass redundancy happening. There's also going to be a lot of companies that, if you haven't thought about it, you can potentially acquire, that haven't prepared for this, haven't got the capital, that originally might have cost you 2 or 3 times the amount that you have to pay for it, but now you might get them for a 1 or 2 times multiple instead of a 3 or a 6, because they need a bailout. They've got to pay dividends. They've got to get this stuff done. They've got to sell it. They haven't got much of a choice. So you can pick up these things and do really creative deals where you don't actually have to pay a lot of money up front to actually acquire that company. So it's just like an example of that was like one that we were looking at, is where we just paid off someone's debt as the down payment for the company. And then over a 16-month period, we pay out the rest of it based upon the results of that company, and taking the net profit revenue from that company and then investing it back as the amount that we're going to purchase it for. So I think people need to kind of think about like purchasing businesses and websites and these sorts of things isn't actually really a very expensive exercise if you know how to creatively structure deals to acquire those sort of businesses. And I think that's going to be a huge opportunity for a lot of companies. If you're in the right position, you've got the cash flow to do it. And also you've got the risk profile propensity to go and take that risk, knowing that it's going to pay off, not in the next 6 or 12 months, but like the next, 18, 24 kind of months, and thinking that far out right now. So that's the kind of game we're trying to play, and kind of like where we're pushing our clients. And I'd say the same thing as well too for the investing side, taking investing thought process about this. It's like stocks are way down right now. Like now is the perfect time to buy them, because they're going to go back up at some stage. It's not going to be like in the next 6 or maybe 12 or 18 months, but in the next, 2 or 5 years, if you hold on to them, you're going to be way further ahead than anyone else if you can buy a lot right now. But obviously, to buy within your means. Don't buy excessively, because it's going to be a long-term investment.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's exactly what I'm doing, is offsetting certain things by getting in and, allocating
Yeah.
free capital that wouldn't affect my living expenses into opportunities like the stocks. And, even our mentor, Ed
Mm.
Milet, last night was talking about exactly what you just said about the fact that there's going to be cheap talent right now. And what he's seeing as well from the upper tier entrepreneurial perspective is companies that he wanted to previously partner with, or people we wanted to collaborate with that were previously not really open to it, are now suddenly have the time to do so, or suddenly are a bit more flexible. So I think it's a great opportunity to reach back out to people that might be strength, induced collaborations for your business to help you grow. Um, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. So yeah, so that's the one I wanted to talk about. I forgot about was partnerships. So that's a huge thing for us right now. So is looking at different clients, even people just in my network. I've just looked and going, cool, you match with this person. How do we get you guys to work together to refer your own stuff between each other, where it makes a natural understanding, and we just write the email for them and then charge a percentage of the deals they do in the middle. But like for you, as businesses, you can just literally go out and go find people and go, cool, I'll write the email for you. I'll give you my thing. Go plonk it in your email autoresponder as a test. All you have to do is just do a questionnaire for people first. Like, are they interested in, let's say, investing? Well, just as an example, like, would you be interested in learning how to, short stocks and get a 25 times back on your revenue in the next, 7 days or something? Most people click yes, cool, and then you send them the offer. So you're not emailing the entire list and blanking them all. You're just taking off the subset there. So therefore, that person's general business still can go quite well. But we've found that's been a really, really good pivot, especially for people that haven't been able to sell stuff in this current climate, where they've kind of had to cut the whole thing off. So like, fitness brands, this sort of stuff, like, gyms and stuff like that. But we're like, you still have a great list and a great resource there, and you still have clients that people want, but you just don't have the product they want right now. So who has the product that client list wants, and who can you partner with to get your revenues to make that happen so you can survive through this period?
I love it. I think it's, again, times like this really amplify the type of person you are, right? So if you're generally a very risk adverse person and you struggle with stress and anxiety, you're probably going to have a pretty tough time right now. But if you're the type like you're talking about that's, creative, driven, ambitious, you're going to take this opportunity. And let's say you are in the fitness business and your gyms are shut down. Well, now you might take it online, or you might think out the box, get creative. And it really
Yeah.
kind of amplifies how you think during times of, angst and crisis.
Even for like real estate guys as well, like they don't realize the gold mine they're sitting on with their list. So it's like, you just know someone who's just bought like a 500K house. You know what kind of income they've got. You know what,
Yeah.
like how big their family and stuff is. The jobs they are. The people they're connected with. It's like, cool. Would you go chat to, like, what cars they drive? So you just like, you can just, there's so many different partnerships there that you could potentially do. It's like, oh yeah, I know the Smiths. By the way, they're interested in buying a car in the next year. Go to an auto manufacturer and chat to them, or a dealership, and go, cool. If I send you these guys, give me 2% of whatever car they buy, as the deal, or give me a cost per lead of like $500 or something. So we did that with a company back in the UK. We did a deal with Ferrari. We found out, like, based on the criteria, if they bought this certain average order size and these certain products, that they had a 30% likelihood to actually buy a Ferrari or a Porsche in the next 3 years. So then we sold those leads onto Ferrari for like $500 a pop.
I think that's insane. And again, that just is a testament to show, like, the mindset, and that the fact that, like, real leaders are prevailing right now. And even if your business is struggling, there's a wealth of opportunities if you don't just stay in this straight and narrow. And so many people fall victim to staying too much in their lane, and when something unexpected and unforeseen happens, they don't take the time to step back and say, well, how can I zig while everybody else is zagging, and get a bit creative with this situation to still prevail and still scale. Now, that kind of actually brings me to a really good point that I wanted to touch on, which is retention. So how do people right now, I guess it's a twofold question. What kind of marketing do you typically use for retention? And right now, if people are in a situation where they're losing clients because of what's happening, do you have any retention strategies if it might be a 6-month ordeal?
Yeah, so the way that we look at retention is really by a case-by-case basis and what you can actually do with the parameters that you have. So like it's sometimes like if it's a big deal that might you will think will survive through like a 6 month period, like as an agency, sometimes we go, cool, you know what, we'll just won't charge you for 3 months. And we'll give you a loan of our fees for 3 months and you can pay that off 6 or 7 months down the track. We're happy to take that risk as an example. So that's like something you can do with your fees. It's like a big client and stuff and it's cool. Potentially you could give discounts. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather do value adds where possible. And I'd try and make myself, I think the big thing about retention is, and it's really good thing to kind of bring it forefront for everyone now, is like, how do you make your services essential for that person? So why is it when you're thinking something they're looking to cut right now? And how do you actually pivot that to go, okay, well, that's fine. We can do a bit less for you, but would you like us to kind of do this and add this on instead? And therefore making yourself, as you come out of a bit more essential to that business as part of their model. Like, how do you tie yourself to the revenue they're generating? So like, if they remove you, they don't make any revenue. So like, if they remove, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to see a direct correlation of 25% drop in revenue. If that happens. So it's just about a way of drawing that together. So people need like, okay, if I turn, it's like people aren't going to turn off web hosting. Like people need websites and stuff right now. They're not going to turn off their emails. They're not going to like, there's essential services and stuff. And how can you like pivot yourself and move towards that? And that's going to help you in the long run as well. There are a couple of tactics and things that you can play with for like on Facebook ads and, you know, remarketing and stuff like that. Like a few case studies and stuff to existing customers. There are, you know, unique deals and structuring that you can do, or you can do partnerships with people as well, once again, to actually help with retention. So a really good one that we found for one of our clients is they kind of have a network. So the money isn't really coming from the service that they're offering. It's actually the network that they have and they can introduce their clients to. So yeah, that's the strategies and stuff that we generally look at. At the moment, like we normally have like standard ones you would play with. Like we have like a collection of like 19 different strategies we play with. But those kind of things are thrown out the window right now with that. It's all about being creative.
Yeah, man. So I think that's awesome. One of the key things that you just said that is incredibly important is talking about making yourself valuable during this time, because right now in times where the, you know, foreseeable future, there's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of volatility. The first thing that people do is look at what can they cut out. Everybody's trying to lean out. And if they look at their credit card statements and are seeing, you know, X amount of money is coming out and they can't quite justify it themselves, then they're very quick during times like this to cut and chop the axe. But if, again, you can tie that to a direct correlation of how they can actually not just make money and survive, but thrive during this time, you're going to see, you know, people stick around for quite a bit longer.
Yeah, definitely. One of the strategies that we really liked was we just literally emailed all our providers and just asked for like a 30 to 40% cut in fees for all our SaaS services. And pretty much 70% of them said yes. So like you can do that yourself, but don't agree to a 30 or 40% cut yourself if someone asks for it, because they're literally just asking to find out. They might not actually need it.
100%, man. No, I think that's incredible. You've got some unbelievable strategies. And again, I think that you really added a deeper layer of context to a lot of the questions people have right now during this time, because it's, you know, everybody's hearing things from left, right, and center, and not many people are giving, you know, strategic context to these questions. So I guess, man, before we wrap up, is there any additional advice that you have for the people that are maybe at the 6-figure level and want to go to the 7-figure level and are looking to leverage things like online marketing in order to get there? What would your kind of best advice be for those entrepreneurs?
Best advice for those is work out what your lifetime values are and what your average order values are, because that's really going to dictate as to how much you can spend when it comes to marketing. Because you really want to work out how much you can actually acquire people for and how much you can afford that for. And a simple formula I love to use for LTVs is how much do you have enough 3-month cap, enough to like survive for 3 months as a business? And your LTV should be like 2 months. So like you can take up to 2 months to get that money back. If you've got like 6 months worth, then it's like a 5-month calculation. So like how much money do I make from this one person across 5 months? And then you can go, cool, I can spend up to this much. Therefore, like you can increase your CPAs on the front end, because you know you're going to make, you know, $5,000 on the back end over 5 months. And that's where like it goes for like, that's where like a small player goes massive once they kind of figure out what that number is and how it works, because they can basically outbid everyone else in the marketplace, because most people don't work out that metric, which is really quite important for growing. And the other flip side of that is people don't actually think about the partnership to then increase average order value. They're always thinking about how can I make more money from the customer, rather than how can I make money from other businesses that want my customers.
That's incredible, man. I think that's such a unique perspective, and we need more minds like yours during this time where everybody's just thinking so cut and dry and not getting creative with, the incredible assets that they have that they're not even realizing and becoming awoken to, just based on the nature of their business. So, man, is the final thing. Where can people find you? Do now that you mentioned you're going to be putting out some branding content, where should people check out? Website? What's best for you?
Yeah, just check us out at Cubatica.com. So you'll find out everything about us there as we update it and add all our branding content that this person will finally do some.
I love it, man. Well, super stoked. And again, I can't thank you enough for your time, guys. I'll link Cubatico down in the description as well as the pinned comment. He's got a wicked site. I've checked it out multiple times. So go down the rabbit hole and check out. And hopefully you guys learned something from this. So Josh, again, man, thank you so much. Guys, if you're watching this to the end, again, make sure you implement some of these strategies. Leverage this time where you have more time to dial in your inefficiencies, look at your budget and your schedule, find out what works, add new skills like some of the stuff that Josh talked about, and make sure that you come out thriving, not just surviving.